The MOS of a 31 Bravo in the United States Army is military police, and the primary duties of a 31 Bravo include things like law enforcement, crime scene security, installation security, and more. This MOS is available to enlisted soldiers on active duty, reserve, and National Guard. To qualify for this MOS, it is going to require an individual to score a 91 in the Skilled Technical section of the ASVAB. Now, the topics that make up the Skilled Technical section of the ASVAB include word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, general science, mechanical comprehension, and mathematics knowledge. The training involved for a 31 Bravo includes 20 weeks of OSIT or One Station Unit training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and will also include some on-the-job training for police methods. To be a 31 Bravo, it does require a security clearance, so an individual looking to get into this MOS will have to be able to pass the background check to qualify for a security clearance. Now, as for the vehicles that an individual could be working with as a 31 Bravo, it's going to include things like government-issued civilian vehicles that are patrol vehicles, as well as some military vehicles when they're in the field or in a combat zone, like a Humvee or other up-armored vehicles. Now, I've worked with some MPs and known some MPs, and kind of the common thing that a lot of people think is that they're just always patrolling and doing police work on the installation, and that's not always the case. They actually have like a cycle of when they're on patrol, and then when they're not on patrol, they're doing other things like training, maybe gate security. So they kind of have this rotational schedule that they kind of do. So they're not just always working the gates, not always on patrol, pulling people over and doing that kind of things. They kind of have this little cycle that they go through. So when they're in Garrison, they're not in the field or deployed, they're just on base. They're doing some typical police work. They're looking for speeders on post, people who are committing, crimes, responding to, 911 calls on post, accidents, all those type of, police type of work on the installation. But also, manning the gates, they're checking IDs when people are coming through. Sometimes that's also other units that'll kind of augment the MPs, kind of work with them that are not military police officers, but they'll work with the military police officers to check IDs and search vehicles coming on base. And then when they're in the field, then they're doing similar type of security missions. They're doing a little bit of kind of law enforcement type of things with some civilian scenarios. And then when they're deployed, they're doing very similar things to, some of it a little bit similar to what 11 Bravos do in some ways of doing raids to a certain extent, and some different type of tactical things in a combat environment. But also the funny thing is in a combat environment, you also still have military police officers that are patrolling the base. They're still responding to things. So if like soldiers start fighting each other or something like that, then they respond to that. And I've also seen incidents where, a soldier is maybe speeding in their Humvee on base and you'll get pulled over, and then instead of getting a ticket, usually they just kind of like hand over the information to your leadership, and now your leadership knows that you were speeding in a government vehicle, in a military vehicle on base. So even in a combat environment on base, you can still get pulled over by the MPs. So as far as jobs after the military in the civilian world, a military police officer could easily just transition over to being a police officer. Probably still have to go through maybe the training academy still to kind of get the difference between military and civilian. There's still not a direct transition over to it. There's going to be a little bit of work involved with that. But they can also do things like security, maybe working in a prison, maybe private investigator, all sorts of things in the law enforcement field that an individual could transfer over onto the civilian side after being a 31 Bravo in the military. I've known a couple people after being an MP in the military did not actually go into law enforcement. One went to something completely different. Another one, for a temporary time frame, went to be in law enforcement, but they said that they didn't feel like they had the same kind of bond like they had with their soldier counterparts being an MP compared to being a civilian police officer. Just didn't feel the same, so he ended up kind of moving on and doing something else. So there you go, there's a basic rundown of a 31 Bravo. If you have any questions about this MOS, make sure to leave some comments down in the comment section down below. If any of my viewers were previously a 31 Bravo or maybe currently in the Army as a MP and would like to share some of their experience in that MOS, make sure to leave some comments down below so that maybe some of the viewers who are interested in this MOS can maybe see some of your comments and learn a little bit more from, the first-hand experience of someone who was in this MOS. If you have an MOS that you're interested in, make sure to leave it in the comment section down below, as I do turn to the comment section to get inspiration for which MOS to cover in the next MOS Monday. I'll also leave a link down in the description to the playlist for MOS Monday so you can see what MOSs I've already covered, so you're not requesting an MOS that maybe I've already talked about. Alright, so if you liked the video, hit that thumbs up button for me. If you want to check out a couple other videos, I got these guys right over there, including the playlist to MOS Monday. Down in the description, I got some links to social media and more, so check those out. Thank you so much for watching. I'm ChristopherChaos, and I will see you next time. See ya.